This is the Commodities and Recycling Report brought to you by Ben Lee, the industry leader in roll-off trailers and open-top scrap trailers, as well as Raleigh and Goldsboro Metal Recycling, the leaders in North Carolina for scrap metal, cardboard, electronics, and junk cars. Today is Tuesday, September 8th, 2015. My name is Greg Brown, President and CEO of the companies. Last week was a week of bad news with some stabilization in the recycling markets. Scrap steel prices declined to yet new 6+ year lows, while non-ferrous stabilized and actually rose. U.S. steel production came down a bit last week for the second week in a row and remains well below last year. Continued steel imports, China weakness, and some U.S. manufacturing slowdowns this summer seem to be the cause. With China continued weakness and U.S. steel weak production, ferrous scrap prices actually dropped last week. When this chart is produced next week, it will show new 6+ year lows. Oil prices hit new 6+ year lows 2 weeks ago and came up a bit last week. But the new lows were not enough to have the oil rig count drop for the first time after 7 weeks of small increases. As has been said, OPEC, especially Saudi Arabia, made a commitment last November to dramatically increase their oil drilling. The key reason was to get global oil prices so low that it would make it uneconomical for the U.S. to drill for new oil. It worked very well. With the U.S. oil drilling rigs now down about 50% since last year and investment in Canadian oil sands down dramatically, OPEC said last week they're willing to discuss cutbacks in production. Just their statement about this last week caused oil prices to move up dramatically. The 50% reduction in U.S. drilling has caused a reduction in the need for new steel, which has been part of the causing of low scrap metal prices. We still believe the new reduction in recent weeks of gasoline prices will have a positive effect in some parts of the global economy. Copper had similar things happen in the past 2 weeks. As reported last week, the world's second largest copper producer, Freeport-McMoRan, announced investment cutbacks due to low copper prices. This week, Glencore, the world's third largest copper producer, announced mine closings and cutbacks, which means along with Freeport-McMoRan, supplies will come down, which will allow copper prices to rise. After copper hit new 6+ year lows 2 weeks ago, this chart shows on the bottom right the small increases in the past week. While at this time there are no announced cutbacks from aluminum producers to get prices up, aluminum prices tracked copper last week, so after hitting new lows 2 weeks ago, they too came back a bit last week. In summary, some commodity prices have come down so far that manufacturers are cutting production. So we are seeing price stabilization and actually small increases. There remain positive things going on in the U.S. which are helping commodity prices from falling further. Last week it was announced that August car sales were the strongest in the U.S. in any month since 2005. But China, which is now the world's largest automotive market, saw automotive sales actually decline last month. Also last week, it was announced that the U.S. unemployment rate in August hit the lowest rate since 2007. But on the negative side of global dynamics, last week, China lowered their growth estimate for last year to 7.3%, which is the lowest in about 25 years. All in all, with ferrous prices down again and non-ferrous near 6+ year lows, last week was a tough week in recycling. For current prices, please call us at 919-828-5426 in Raleigh and 919-731-5600 in Goldsboro. With that, we hope all have a safe and profitable week. Tune in next week for the Commodities and Recycling Report. We hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. This is Greg Brown.